This is nothing but pain. And I can't take this. How can you expect a human being to take this? How? How? Who expects a human being to be able to handle this?
What's goody, what's goody, what's goody? We are back with Paul, but not as the American homeless Holocaust, not doing the diary of a man being exterminated. No, we're with the consultant. We're with the homeless consultant. And guess what we're doing? We're going to consult the homeless consultant. All right, so this is going to be, I guess, visiting or revisiting for some and introducing for others Paul's older channel. And there's another channel before that, and possibly another channel before that. But this was his previous channel, the homeless consultant. A lot more varied in content, a little bit more. It's longer, obviously. It's a longer channel in terms of like YouTube time on YouTube, as opposed to the American homeless Holocaust, because that was only realistically that was only 4 months, 5 months of content, where this is more like 2 years, 3 years. Excruciating pain and America's fraudulent healthcare system, Mayo Clinic. Okay. Warning, this video shows blood and plenty of it. It shows the reality of my daily existence. All right, so there is some actual real messed up content. He doesn't show it all, but just the I guess the visual, even if it's got like a mosaic or what do they call it, a blur on it, it's still kind of like a gross image in your head at least. So if you are a bit queasy, it's probably not the video you want. It's not the video you need right now. Because Paul is, it was another thing with Paul is that he does like to show this explicit, he likes to show explicitly the pain and the suffering, especially if it's like a physical, there are like a physical effects of him being in the car and him suffering because of. Now, there's nothing to do with AMS here. He is in that job. He might motherfuck the company from now and again, but AMS isn't directly in the iron sights these days. It's more of I suppose the Democratic local government in Minnesota at the time that he has just he's trained all his energy on. So you will hear a lot of the same rhetoric, but it's not about the same company or the same thing per se. You'll understand as we go on. Yeah, visibly heavier. He's got a lot more weight to him than he did as the American homeless Holocaust. You can see he's very much filled out the face, where if you go back to Paul's last video, he's quite gaunt, quite pale looking. Yeah, this man is a little bit healthier. Not too much healthier, but a little bit.
Folks, I am in absolutely excruciating pain right now. This is the second week in a row I cannot afford to go into the hotel. My check coming up tomorrow is going to be less than the check last week, which was the lowest check I've ever had working in that place in 5 years. So that'll be 2 weeks I've not been in the hotel yet. From sitting here all those days over Christmas, New Year's, just sitting in this car, never leaving this car except to go to work where I sit in a chair. These blood blisters have gotten so huge, they stick out like an inch or more.
Yeah, so I'm thinking the blood blisters are mainly from sedentary kind of life he lives in the car, in the office, in the car, in the office. I don't know if he really ever got a lot of exercise or physically moved around all that much. Um, yeah,
What that means is when I try to walk, I can't walk because these just rub up against my legs. I can't walk. My legs are 2 inches thicker than they normally are. So I've had to just sit in this car and freeze because I can't afford the hotel where I could.
yeah. From what I understand from blood blisters, that they are literally caused through um, either like very particular pinching points or injuries where you're catching your hand on something like your fingertip, you're like slamming in a door, you might get a blood blister out of it. But I'm thinking also with Paul's constant sitting, that it's just creating like a bed sore issue where he's getting these blood blisters out of just sitting on his ass all the time, or he's um, rubbing against like the back of his seat, and something's like obviously causing this problem, like specifically for Paul, probably through this method of just sitting around all the time. Eventually, you will start getting like weird sores and blood blisters and abscess and like shit like that.
Maybe pop this and relieve the pressure if I was in a hotel. I have to just sit in this car, but I can't even adjust my weight in here. It's been like 4 or 5 hours. I've been sitting in the same position. I can't even move a little bit.
This is the Cougar too. I believe this will be the Cougar, possibly, possibly. Yeah, this view is completely different here. There's a lot more window space at the back, so I'm thinking Cougar for sure.
It is absolutely excruciating just to try to move.
Now, are we going to have some revisionist history here where he was always saying how much he loved the Cougar and how much room he had in the Cougar? And is he going to start like shitting on the Cougar now? Like, it's like, oh, it's just not good enough. But then when he got the Ford Fusion, he realized what he lost.
As if anybody cares.
Yeah, the never-ending saga of these dark SUVs and this white pickup that like does these kind of like loop-de-loops around him. They're obviously grabbing intel and passing it back to their dark handlers. Drug deals, Paul. Drug deals. You know. Damn, look at you. Yeah, that's always told. He has really kinky hair, like kind of wild, unkept when it's like washed and clean. He must have gone for a shower at this point because that's real poofed out. When you do see him in the American Homeless Holocaust, it was always tied up and it was always very stringy. And I guess this is what it looks like when it's washed.
The pain was so bad, I had no choice. I had to take money that's meant for bills and go into this hotel for one day. Of course, I can't walk, so I couldn't go get all my computer gear. I'm just gonna be here. I got my shower. I brought my coffee maker in and my coffee and just finished making that because this hotel doesn't provide it for $80 a night. Folks, I want to show you a video, if I can. I might have to show still photos, but of what I'm talking about on this leg. This is why I can't walk. This is why.
What am I looking at here? This looks. So is that must be the carpet, and that's the leg. What part of the leg is that? Is the back? I can't even tell. But yeah, there's like I guess a blood blister forming here.
Why I can't even let anything touch my thigh, like my other thigh, for example. And folks, that is one of 2 of those things that I have on each side. Minnesotans murdered me.
Right, straight off the bat, very, very distinctive and familiar rhetoric. So this is a Paulism. It's a complete Paulism. He invokes the word murder in ways you just wouldn't really, I guess, say. I guess you wouldn't really say it in that way. I've never heard someone say, because of this, I am being murdered. Maybe it's an American thing. Maybe it's a little bit more common in the States. I've watched a lot of US TV, and I suppose I've heard it once or twice before, but the way Paul invokes it, it's just like so odd and weird to me that it just doesn't make any sense. But so, okay, so familiar language, but targeted at Minnesota.
Appreciate it if you would tell somebody about this. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, I need journalists. I need media. Media's not covering it. There's no real spotlight on the homeless in a way Paul wants. There's plenty of spotlight on the homeless crisis in the area. I know so much more about the homeless issue in Minnesota than I could ever really want to know and ever really should know because of these damn videos. So it's just the way it's Paul's particular situation as a homeless person that's very much individual to Paul that isn't really being covered in the way he likes. So yeah. 4 hours later.
Okay, forgive how frantic I am here, but that blood blister just popped. Out of nowhere. It just popped. It was dripping down my leg. So I can see what's going on here.
Is it a thing where it's so cold that I don't know, the blood's not congealing, but maybe it's sitting in place, and as it warms up, maybe the blood flows a little more freely to the area, and it literally expands it, and it pops. Is that it?
Okay, that's the paper I had in there. And I don't know if you can see, but it's all.
He's so explicit with this stuff. He's got to show you. He's got to show you. It's like that. I don't know, the kid in school who digs in his nose, pulls out a big fucking boogie, and like shows everyone. It's like, look at this shit.
Dripping down my leg, soaking my pants here, coming out the bottom. This is what happens at work. I'm gonna do this thing for your top. You see? I'll just be sitting at work doing my job, and all of a sudden, this happens, and I have to.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for that little bar there. I wonder if he's hung. I wonder if he's packing. I can't believe it. I don't think he's packing at all. But it'd be funny if he was. Like, he's just unbelievably hung.
To the bathroom, leaving the trail of blood behind me.
Oh, okay. So it's right at the back of his thigh. So so it's on his ass really. So it's probably sitting right under his ass, where that crease is. And because he's sitting constantly, never moving, he's getting like these abscess and bed sore like situations in the form of blood blisters. Okay, it makes sense now.
This just isn't gonna end, so it's gonna take a while for me to get all this drained and clean. And now I'm gonna have to go with my sanitizer, and I'm gonna have to go through the whole floor and clean this place too.
Oh, at least he is getting ahead of that. Sometimes I feel like he would just leave it like that.
Way to spend my $80 on this room. That's my life, folks, because these Minnesotans murdered me. Thanks so much.
Man, oh man, imagine getting like you're just like rolling into Minnesota for a business trip and you get Paul's room and you're walking barefoot and maybe the cleaner hasn't done a great job and you're literally stepping in trace amounts of this dude's blood. Ugh. Yeah, that's a nightmare. That's horrific.
Okay, I had to start filming that quickly because it just hit me, folks. I was literally here about to hit the send button on this video.
He's got the YouTube game going. He's all about it.
When this thing happened, I had just taken maybe the first bite or second bite of my food. And I was just actually standing up leaning, and it just went out. If I'd been on the bed, this bed would be soaked with blood right now. So it's going to take me a long time to deal with this and to clean this up.
Yeah, you would have to pay for that, I would think. If you just completely bloodied up their sheets and into the mattress, I'm thinking that's on you. You might have to pay for that.
And I'll be doing the cleaning. You can see all the blood in the bathroom as I had to walk there. In the toilet, there's others here laying around. I'm going to have to throw them all away. This is just one event. This is what would have happened in the car at some point if I just sat in the car. And that's why that car has so much of my blood in it, among everything else I've spilled. A coffee or a soda every single day for 6 years.
Imagine sitting in it. I'm guessing it was the cougar. Imagine sitting in that cougar, and it's just like this weird. The musk in that car must have been just completely ingrained. You'd never get it out of that car. I don't care how deep the clean was. So I'm thinking the cougar probably went to the wreckers. Obviously went to the wreckers. They probably stripped the parts and crushed it into a cube, and it's at peace. The cougar is at peace now.
This still doesn't feel any better. I can walk a little better, but not much better. What I had to do to try to sit on this bed was take my blanket, or I'm sorry, my towel, wrap it all up, and then I put a plastic bag, paper towel, in layers, and I hang it over the edge of this thing, and I'm sitting there, and then I put a whole bunch of paper towel up against my leg in the first place, and I have to keep watching it. That's what I have to do to sit on this bed without doing something to the bed of this wonderful proprietor here, who all the time lets me enter rooms that are filled with other people's blood. But I try to minimize that, personally. I'm not one of their typical guests. I just pay the same price or more.
Yeah, and you're just another fucking asshole bleeding all over the place. You're just another one, Paul.
So this is what I get from $80 here today, folks. You wanted blood at the crime scene? You got it. I have been murdered, as I've said. I've said this all along. I've only said it on this channel with force in the last couple videos.
American standoff. I want to know, is I'm being murdered a common phrase maybe in the Midwest? Is like that a thing people say when something has gone so drastically wrong that your situation is you're on the back foot now. You've been fired, you've been maybe falsely accused of something, and then you say, I'm being murdered because of this, and people will understand what you mean. Tell me. I need to know.
But folks, what these people did to me was as bad as it gets. This is an atrocity. And I'm just waiting for it to be dealt with at the level of severity that it deserves. Those Minnesotans could have stopped this at any point from the very beginning, before it even began, before I even started living in the car. But they never did anything, and they never cared. And now I've got diarrhea.
Oh, Lord. Oh, God. Now, I'm guessing the diarrhea has come on because of stress and the distress of being in so much pain, and the blood has turned his stomach, and now the diarrhea is a direct result of the people and the democratic government of Minnesota. Okay.
I'm going to post this. I'm going to go. Bye. Diarrhea and blood.
Yeah, so he's bloody recording this. Like, why the hell would you record this? And obviously he's going to blur it out. And if he didn't need to blur it out, he wouldn't. There's no doubt in my mind. If he could show you this in all of its glory, he would.
Isn't this beautiful?
Among the many parties who put me into this situation was my employer. God, it was Iowa or Ohio, one of the two. He was in some sort of medical field, and I guess he was furloughed at some point, or he was let go. And President, a Minnesotan, there you go, terminated large numbers of their very best employees with no advance warning a few days before they did. I never recovered from that. You did recover from that. You got another job. You got another job with AMS. Yeah, the company publicly claims to save lives, save children, and so on and so forth. Was this the Mayo Clinic? Is this who he worked with? So, Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic is a non-profit hospital system. Okay. So what is it? A style of hospital, or is it a business? It's a non-profit American medical center focused on so staff across 3 major campuses: Rochester, Minnesota, Jacksonville. All right, so Rochester, Minnesota must have been where he was at. Okay. What was Paul doing there? I know he said before. I just can't remember what he was doing. Uh-oh. At the beginning of the new year, 22, Minnesota's largest employer, the Mayo Clinic, fired 700 employees for refusing to get it back. Even a countless vaccinated persons like AOC, I'm guessing it's, what's her name? Cortez something. What's that guy call him? Occasional cortex. Continued to get COVID-19. These terminations could easily cause some of those sensation. Wait, is he saying that he worked for the Mayo Clinic? I don't know if this might not be the Mayo Clinic per se. He's just using that as an example to relate back to when he was let go in 2014, which I believe was in a state that wasn't Minnesota, possibly Iowa or Ohio. Top hospitals and zoos are raking up huge profits. Okay. Nothing surprising. Somebody has to sacrifice their job to find its salary. All right, yeah. So this is just another person in Paul. He does put a lot of music at the end of these things, and it's all going to be copyrighted, so I'm not even going to bother. It's fundamentally a fraud. It's a classic crime racketeering. Well, there's probably a lot of that. He's probably not wrong. There isn't. I'm thinking yes. There is probably a lot of racketeering and corruption and just complete unethical practices. Minnesota kills. Alright guys, that is the video of the homeless consultant channel, consulting the homeless consultant. Sorry for the explicitness of the first video. I am not going to do any in chronological order. It's just going to be what takes my fancy. It's like the American homeless Holocaust. If I did it all in chronological order, there would probably be a lot I would absolutely want to skip. Like completely want to skip because it just goes nowhere and says nothing of anything that we haven't already covered. So yeah, I'm just going to pick and choose what I want to do in terms of this channel, Paul's other channel here. All right, guys. Till next time, I will catch you later.